While I was at her office party, my fiancée made fun of my job. I dumped my fiancée in front of everyone when I ended our engagement. I'm a 31-year-old man who works as a mechanic. It's not a glamorous job, but I take pride in what I do. I learned a lot from watching my dad fix cars when I was a kid. So I went to trade school, got certified, and now I own my own little shop. It's honest work, pays the bills, and most importantly, I love it. That's why the incident at my fiancé's office party devastated me. When compared to me, my ex-girlfriend, who I'll refer to as F, is completely lacking in polish. Has always been in the company of people who place a premium on outward appearances due to their job in corporate marketing. Most importantly, I believed we had something unique, despite all our differences. At least, that's how I took her statements about her admiration for my work ethic and love of pursuing my passion. A few weeks ago, at F's workplace holiday party, it all began. It would be an opportunity for me to meet her coworkers and get a glimpse into her world, she said. So she was thrilled about it. I felt some anxiety. I agreed to go even though I'm not very fond of formal attire because I wanted to show my support for her. I had anticipated the event to be exactly what it was when we arrived. In this ultra-chic office, where everyone seems to have stepped out of a fashion magazine. F had no trouble fitting in while she joked and chatted with her coworkers. Conversely, I pretended it didn't matter that I was an outsider since my presence was solely for her and not for them. Around the 1-hour mark of the celebration, things began to go wrong. A coworker of F's, a guy who appeared as though he had been born into a boardroom, inquired as to my occupation while I was being introduced to her colleagues. A little car repair shop is mine. Before the man could answer, I uttered the word simply. I leapt in. She remarked, "Isn't that adorable?" Then she laughed. "He resembles a contemporary verdant monkey." The others in the group laughed, and I went completely blanche. Monkey green. She shrugged off my repeated glances. "It is merely a joke. You know, calm down a little." I couldn't get rid of the comment, even though the group moved on fast. Not only that, but her tone and delivery made it sound as though my job was a frivolous pastime rather than a serious profession. In my head, I told myself I was just overanalyzing the situation. But in reality, it hurt. Later that night, during a toast, the killing blow was delivered. Raise her glass and begin to toast her team's accomplishments as F took a stand in front of the crowd. Then, as if by magic, the conversation turned to me and my fiancé, whom she thanked warmly, although HEK isn't very corporate. He has a lot of skill working with his hands. You have my number in case anyone's vehicle needs fixing. People started laughing uncontrollably. Dictator's attention shifted to me, and I could feel my face flush. Their smiles betrayed a hint of contempt as they turned toward me. F was beaming with self-satisfaction as I sat there in shame. As the laughter subsided, I met F's gaze and asked her in a low voice why she either didn't notice my discomfort or, even worse, didn't care. She was too busy basking in the attention, evidently pleased with her joke. I got up from the table and went outside to get some air. I was relieved to be outside in the night air, but my mind was racing. The sound of her laughter resounded in my head as I thought about her remarks. This wasn't an isolated incident. It was a pattern. Worst part was that she did it in front of people who didn't even know me, reducing my career and passion to a punchline. F returned to the outside area a short while later, her wine glass in hand. "There you are," she remarked, her voice casual. "Why did you bolt?" Looking at her, I made an effort to maintain a steady voice. "Can you comprehend the sheer humiliation that must have been?" Evidently taken aback, she blinked. "Can you please clarify what you mean?" I muttered something about the toast as my annoyance boiled over. "You painted me as a handyman you keep on hand for when you need someone, as if nothing had happened." She laughed it off. "Oh, please, I was only joking. It was a delight for all. This isn't the first time you've acted in this way," I declared emphatically, "although you have expressed similar views in the past. Your remarks tonight were unacceptable." A defensive glare replaced her smile. You're being too dramatic. My intention was only to lighten the atmosphere by making fun of myself. You act as though you don't value my work. Yet you claim to value it. So I retaliated. Is the air you just let out sufficiently condescending? Her arms were crossed. You need to tone it down a bit if you can't take a little poke in the eye. Could it be that the mask came off? There was a deep gulf between her perception of me and my own self-perception, and it went beyond a simple misunderstanding. Despite my best efforts, she was never able or willing to reciprocate my efforts to advance her career. With my next words already planned out, I inhaled deeply. This is too much for me. She looked shocked. Can you please clarify what you mean? I stated this relationship with a steady voice. That was it. She let out a nervous laugh. A joke is not the place for seriousness. Really? Just because someone made a comment, you're going to disregard everything? This isn't a single remark. My response was, it's how you see me, how you've always seen me. I can't commit to a life partner who treats me like garbage because you don't value my work. Her expression went from bewilderment to wrath as she gazed at me. She became angry and snapped at him. Fixing cars makes you feel special, right? Breaking news. It's not very remarkable. Even though her remarks hurt, they helped me to make up my mind. I removed the engagement ring and gave it to her. Discovering someone you truly value can be quite a challenge. I remarked as I made my way back inside the party. Suddenly, the burden on my chest started to melt away. Despite my knowledge that breaking off the engagement in front of everyone would cause a commotion, I was unconcerned. No one should have the gall to treat me like garbage, particularly someone who professed to love me. Upon my return to the table, I collected my coat and got ready to depart in a composed manner. Evidently agitated, F raced up behind me. Wait, you're going to really turn this into a show? She hissed, her voice barely audible. You accomplished that entirely on your own. I responded in a composed manner. Keep on having fun at your celebration. As the tension grew, those around us began to take note. Curious looks and whispered conversations were visible. But I persisted. F. Her voice, now filled with desperation, seized my arm for a final time. Do me a favor and let's discuss this. It seems like you're exaggerating things. My gaze met hers as I shifted to face her. I offered you opportunities to respect me in exchange for your support, joy in your achievements, and refusal to diminish your efforts. But you were unable to reciprocate. Having a conversation about this won't help. Because of our relationship, I left the party while she remained standing there, holding the engagement ring. There was relative silence on the way home as I processed a mixture of relief and pent-up frustration. Over the next several days, I relived the events of the night in my mind, wondering if I had made the right choice. However, each time I reflected on her remarks and the condescending manner she discussed my career, I reassured myself that I had. Disruption started. Calls and texts began to pour in from friends and acquaintances wondering what had transpired. F evidently didn't squander any time getting her version of events straight. I was joking, and he couldn't handle it. She was so insecure. She wrote in a group chat, "Who calls off a wedding with a celebratory toast?" The truth was out to the people who mattered, and I refused to stoop to her level, so I stayed out of it. However, when a friend sent me screenshots of her social media venting, I knew she wasn't going to stop. She accused me of being overly sensitive and controlling, and she claimed to have avoided it at that point. I realized the story needed me to step in. I calmly approached friends, co-workers, and even strangers who had been to the party and gave them my version of events. I went into detail about how the party was the last straw after months of constant demeaning comments and disrespect. The majority of them were sympathetic, and a few even expressed regret for making fun of the toast. I was approached by a coworker who had a grudge against her and her comments about you. It seemed like she was accepting less than she really was. It was painful, but it confirmed my choice. F had never appreciated me or my job, and I refused to let her control the story anymore. Our social circles were rocked by my decision to break off the engagement. But I was unwavering. F persisted in trying to cast me as the antagonist. But the party and the rumors about her behind closed doors were starting to get to her. When a mutual friend who was unsure sent me a message. It was a very satisfying moment. We had a conversation and they documented in her office their claim that she boasts about how she settled for you on the assumption that you would be easy to control. You seem to have narrowly avoided danger. Almost got hit by a bullet. Getting a call from her boss was the final piece of closure. Management was apparently worried about her professionalism after hearing rumors about the party. Just confirming the facts regarding the toast and her behavior afterward was all that was needed from me. Thanks, I was told by the boss, who also promised to take care of it internally. After that, I found out through rumor that F was not promoted, even though she had been interested in the position. After all, there are results to every action. Now that F was out of my life, I dove headfirst into my career and my passions. I began to take on more challenging tasks at the shop, improved my tool collection, and even started instructing aspiring mechanics on weekends. Free from condescension and judgment, it felt good to concentrate on something that made me happy. As a means of putting that chapter behind me and moving on, I sold the engagement ring and utilized the proceeds to reward myself with a much-deserved vacation. In hindsight, I see that the toast wasn't the only thing that led to our breakup. It was the revelations it made. I was not seen by F as a fellow human being, but rather as an object of ridicule, control, and ego-serving manipulation. Well, that certainly isn't love. To love is to respect one another, to work together, and to lift one another up, not to bring one other down for the sake of a cheap joke. Take this as a sign that you deserve better in a relationship if you ever feel belittled or undervalued. Exit the room. Do what you need to do, even if it's hard. And subscribe if you liked this story about being strong. You might be prompted to follow suit by the following story. Make it.